You know, one thing I've noticed that gun owners love, and that's videos about math and statistics, especially if that math and those statistics don't support their preconceived notions. You know, because they all love to learn something new. Now, of course, I'm being sarcastic. They hate it. They hate when I do videos about math and statistics. It usually ends up in me getting hate mail all day long the next day. But I want to do another video right now that's basically a math and statistics video. And it's dealing with how many magazines you should have for each gun you have. Now, we've all heard the guys on the internet that say you should have a ton of magazines for every gun. It's better to have fewer guns and more magazines than it is to have a lot of guns. Because a lot of people say, oh, if you've got 10 guns and only 5 magazines for each, you should only have 2 guns and 50 magazines for each. And I just don't agree with that statement at all. The way I look at it is if I have one gun with 100 magazines, well, I can have 99 magazines fail and still have my gun working as long as the gun is working. Now, if the gun fails and not one magazine has failed, I'm screwed. Now, if I've got 2 guns with 50 magazines each, I can still have 99 magazines fail and still have 1 magazine left and have 1 gun that works, even if 1 gun fails. So by having 2 guns with the magazines spread out between them, I've got a better odds of still having a gun working at any given time. And statistically, it's not much more likely that, say, 50 mags will fail than it is 25. The further you go down the line of continuous failures, the less likely the next failure becomes. It's just the statistical probability. So having all those extra mags beyond a certain point don't really increase your safety all that much, statistically speaking. So it's better to spread those mags out over different guns because you still have the odds of that gun breaking. So if you've got 10 guns with 10 magazines each, you can still have 99 magazines fail and still have a working gun and have 9 guns fail. It just works that way all the way down the line. And even when you have to start reducing the number of mags to cover the cost of guns, you're still not really increasing your odds of having failures that much. Because like I said, once you go through the line, it becomes less likely to have each consecutive failure. So if you've got, say, one gun with 100 magazines, and say you take the money from half of those 100 magazines and now you've only got 2 guns with 25 magazines each, you're still more likely to have a gun that's working because you have 2 guns that can fail now. And it's really complicated math, but if you sit down and you really think about it, it makes sense. Because if you have a gun and all 5 mags fail for it, you can move on to the next gun and those mags. And if those mags fail and the gun is still good, you can move on to the next gun and its mags. If that gun fails, the mags are still good, you can still move on to the next gun and its mags. So you still have more options having a better ratio of mags to guns, not this huge 1 gun and tons of mags ratio. Plus there's also the aspect of if you have 2 guns and 100 magazines and suddenly shit hits the fan and you're in a survival situation and you band together with 10 of your family and friends, you can arm 2 people. You can give a bunch of people magazines if you want. That's really not going to do any good. But if you've got 10 guns with only 4 magazines each, you can arm 10 people. So basically what I'm saying is, just sit down and do things mathematically. Figure out your odds. Don't just buy a lot of mags because you think it makes you safer. If you want to just buy a lot of mags, buy a lot of mags. Because a lot of people will just buy a lot of mags because it's something that they can pick up at the gun store every time they go. It's $30 or whatever. It's just something that they can do. Just easily do and not even think about it. Now I would say, do it every other time you go to the gun shop, and every other time stick $30 in a pot, and as soon as you got $400, $500 in that pot, buy another gun and start buying mags for it too. But it's up to you really. But don't labor under the false pretense though that having a ton of magazines makes you safer if you've only got a few guns. I say have more guns, have more options, buy as many magazines as you want, but don't make the mistake of thinking that you're doing it for safety reasons. If you really want to prepare, like I said, for the most possible things that can go wrong, have an option of things that can go wrong. Guns that can fail and magazines that can fail and more things you can move down to in your arsenal, let's say. So I know a lot of people are going to jump on me because they're saying, well, you're saying not buy a lot of mags. No, I didn't say don't buy a lot of mags. And I didn't say mags aren't going to fail. Because mags will fail. They're the most common thing that fail with guns. I've always found it's either mags, ammo, or user error when a gun fails. So yes, mags will fail. So I am taking that into account, but have another gun to move to when the mags fail. If all 5 mags fail for my guns, I'll move to the next gun because I like to have 5 mags for every gun I have. Now I have some guns that don't have 5 mags, but I try to keep it at 5 mags for every gun. That's what I found to be my perfect ratio. When I do the math, that's what works out best for me. Now, when you make a decision for what works out best for you, make whatever decision you want. Buy as many mags as you want. But like I said, know the math. Fail. But one thing that does happen above those number of magazines failing, what am I fucking saying? I need to... That's the way to look at it. It just doesn't work out to have all those mags. I lost where I was. Fucked it up. Now let's say I have 2 guns with 25 magazines each. Well, I can still have... Fuck. I can't keep this fucking straight in my... You've taken out of the equation the gun failing and leaving you with no gun to put the magazines in. Has any of this made sense? Do I need to start over? I'm going to start this over.